Well, I'm extraordinarily excited to be joined by Rajiv, the CEO of Auradine. Welcome, Rajiv.
Thank you for having me on this program, Justin. Excited to be here.
Absolutely. And, before we get into Auradine, can you tell us a little bit about your background? One of my favorite ways to start is to learn a little bit about what got you into engineering. Was there a key or pivotal moment that made you say, I want to become an engineer?
Yeah, I grew up in India, Justin, and as I was going through school, it was clear that I was very attracted to subjects like mathematics and physics and so forth. Very shy, geeky kid growing up. Parents in India, middle class parents, they generally steer their kids to either engineering or medicine. Medicine was not for me. I've never that interested in biology type things, although I'm married to a doctor now. Um, and I took the entrance examination for the IIT, which is a very prestigious engineering institute, got into it, and that really led me to go down the engineering path.
Well, they say if you can't be one, marry one. So, um, well, Oregon has a very interesting history and actually future ahead. Can you talk us through the origins of Auradine and also where the company's heading these days?
Yeah, my background has been in Silicon Valley 30 plus years, have focused mainly on technology infrastructure, and by that I mean semiconductors, systems, and software that lays the foundation of the applications above. And in 2021, I sold my previous company, Innovium, to Marvell in late 21, and was really not looking to jump into anything. I had certain non-compete things on the networking side, so was looking at areas outside of networking. I got approached by Barun, who's my co-founder at Auradine, and he had connected with Mara Digital, which is a leading Bitcoin mining and Bitcoin treasury public company in the world, and they were interested in helping form a company that would focus on bringing Bitcoin technology into Silicon Valley and having a US supplier in this market, as well as focus on the energy issues that Bitcoin has. So that's how we really got started in 2022. AI had not yet taken off. And so the area we were focused on was blockchain and Web3. That's how we got started in, little over 3 years ago.
And can you tell us a little bit about the present state of the company and future plans?
Yeah, I mean, in 3 years, what we have done is on the first product line, which is Bitcoin, we have executed very well. We delivered our first product line using 4 nanometer semiconductor technology, got it to volume production. Then we did a 3 nanometer version of it. We have built variety of systems and cooling technologies, which Bitcoin actually leads the AI data centers in cooling technology by a couple of years. So that has given us some extraordinary learnings and innovations that we've been able to do. And we are running that business significantly north of 100 million revenue run rate right now. So that's done well. Now, what happened in 2023, as we all know, ChatGPT exploded on the scene, and it became very clear that AI was going to change and transform how we do things for the next decade or even much more longer than that. And we looked around the company and we saw that we had two kinds of talents in the company that were very applicable to this AI revolution. One was in cybersecurity, and then the other one was in the networking domain. So we kicked off a couple of efforts. We did a lot of progress, and in the last couple of years, have really spun out of Auradine two companies. One focused on AI cybersecurity, and the other one, very recent, is a company focused on networking for the AI era, which we are calling Upscale AI.
And so I presume that that is, and I'm not sure how much you can share with us at this point, but I'm assuming that you're looking at solving some of the scale up problems versus scale out within. And can you tell us a little bit about what your plans are there?
Yeah, on the upscale side, we think the world is very early in terms of how the infrastructure evolves. Clearly, we all know Nvidia, now a $4 trillion company, has built an amazing stack of technology that goes all the way from GPUs to the networking, to the racks, as well as the software layers on top of it. What the rest of the world and the cloud companies are trying to do is put forth an open standards based stack similar to it, not unlike what has happened in other technology areas. We started with the IBM mainframe and moved into a much more open PC server architecture with x86, Linux, and the like. Similarly, in the mobile industry, went with Apple being a completely integrated to more of a open type of an architecture. And the same thing is happening in the networking and AI infrastructure area. So we are focused on providing the networking that connects the AI chips to each other, both for scale up and scale out applications.
Well, you've got some formidable opponents in front of you. The incumbent technology is Broadcom. So, how do you plan on competing with such a formidable opponent, and how do you differentiate?
I think that, well, first of all, in terms of the scale up outside of NVIDIA, there is no purpose built technology. So there are a couple of standards. One is the UA Link standard put forth by a number of companies. And so there isn't a UA Link chip in the market today. Um, and then there's some Broadcom has also proposed some Ethernet based scale up solutions, but in reality, there is no dominant incumbent in the market right now. So it's early days. Outside, obviously, of NVLink, which NVIDIA uses extensively as part of its products to give it a lot of value. So, how do we compete against incumbents? Well, first of all, as a startup, we are executing fast to market. We have put together a world class team that has executed in this area before. We have tremendous investor backing. That's the second part. But what we are also doing, Justin, is bringing to bear our capabilities at a system and software level. So, up until not too long ago, there were chip companies and there were system companies, and a lot of the system expertise actually had shifted to Asia, if you will. Uh, and so we have within our company a unique combination of silicon system software talent, applying cooling technologies from the Bitcoin side of the equation to put forth a solution that we believe will be open, will will support multiple AI compute providers, and will be best in the world in this area.
Well, that sounds very exciting. Let's talk. Let's double click on the component that I'm most intimately involved with and is my passion, and that's people. You talked about building a world class team. Can you tell us about how you've gone about assembling this team thus far?
Yeah, I mean, in Auradine, if you look at us, my background has been at companies like Innovium, Cavium, Intel, and so forth. So I have gotten to know a lot of phenomenal people through those experiences over the careers. And then my co-founder Barun was worked at Juniper, Palo Alto Networks. Within the team, we have attracted leaders from companies like Google, Amazon, Cisco, and so forth. So the way we attract a great team, which is, as everybody will tell you, is a most important ingredient of building a great company, is number one, obviously through our relationships, and people trust us and believe that we can pull it off. But more important than that, almost, is defining a vision and a mission that has some level of clarity, ambition, boldness, where it looks like it's an exciting market, and if we work together as a team and execute, we can make just phenomenal impact on the world. So those are important aspects of building a world class team.
Absolutely. I think being mission driven, especially when you're trying to attract talent in this market from the likes of Google, Amazon, et cetera, is absolutely important. Another ingredient that in talking with other founders we have found to be extraordinarily important is culture. Is there something unique, or are there ingredients of the culture at Ordine that differ from other startups that have helped attract people, or that are specific items that you and the co-founder find critical to growing the team?
Yeah, yeah, very much so, very much so. And look, we have had worked across many companies with different cultures. And so when we started this company, what we did is we spent a lot of time. We have codified that culture, and we share it with new people that join us. There are some elements of the culture that are common across many companies, being and that are important for startups, which is to be bold, ambitious, execute fast, be efficient, and things like that. But the one or two aspects of our culture that I would say are different than even companies I have personally worked in are, in terms of being open and collaborative. We are unmatched, so you can have anyone in the company go to anyone else and talk, and we don't have any boundaries, right? And that has not been the case in many companies, and certainly not in big companies. People frown upon that. So we don't have boundaries in terms of who can talk to. So somebody in operations can go talk to somebody in engineering or sales or marketing, and they can do that freely. So that's number one. The second, and we, by the way, have a company meeting where the status weekly status report is shared across everybody in the company. And so that is actually yet another aspect which typically companies don't do. The second thing that we have said is, many companies say, okay, let's build a great company so that 20 years down the road, when we look back, we will look at this with pride and so forth. And we think that that's the wrong way to look at it. um, the right way to look at it is that every day you come to work, you ought to enjoy the work and have fun. Okay. And startups should not be a grind or a burnout situation where companies burn you out in a couple of years and spit you out. That's not the culture that we want. We want people to be having fun every single day, so that my belief is that when you're having fun, time goes by rather quickly. You're not trying to stress yourself out towards what the how things will be viewed back 10 years from now. You just enjoy every moment of it, and that's a very important aspect of our culture.
Can you give me a real world, a specific example of where that's been illuminated recently?
Yeah, I mean, we have people, for example, we certainly do the usual things, like we have lunches served where people get together and talk. We have things that we do, team building events of various types that we do. We have people who go regularly to the gym together, on certain days. But the it's hard to pinpoint one thing other than that. When we are talking to each other in meetings, or the way we treat each other, it's not like, let's do something so that we will look back 10 years from now and then see how great we were doing. Should be the conversation should reflect the fact that we are having fun. We make jokes in meetings, even in stressful situations. So that is an important aspect.
Very good. Now, one thing that caught my attention is talking about being bold and mission driven. And you and I both know that another element of being a part of a startup is also being nimble and being able to pivot. How do you balance those two when you're bold, you're mission driven, and everybody's hard charging in one direction, and the company does choose to pivot in a different direction? How have you guys kept clarity and focus within the team, and also a strong belief in you and the other leaders that you're leading in the right direction?
I think the so we have done that, by the way. So we, as I mentioned, in 2022, our focus was Web3. So it was beyond Bitcoin. We were looking at technologies like zero knowledge proof and other types of crypto technologies that we put on pause after AI showed up on the scene. Okay, so but the way to do that pivot is that, number one, I think the most important thing is transparency and letting people know what's happening in the market, what's happening around them. um, it's like we are all one team. So we are making this decision together, as opposed to me coming to you and saying, okay, you were working on this project, we're going to stop this project. We want to explain this to you as things go along. And I find that there's much greater buy-in and acceptance when people really understand the logic and actually have input into that decision making process.
And as you look towards the future, one of the things that seems to be a common theme through even the pivots is a focus on security. Is that accurate?
Yeah, I think security is one of those evergreen evergreen topics. We in the world keep improving the capabilities of technology to make people more productive and companies more productive. But guess what? Those same technologies are available to attackers. And the attackers could be outside the company or they could be inside your company, right? And so security has to constantly keep evolving. Now, in most cases, what happens is when the rate of technology improvement slows down, larger companies create portfolio of products and offer those as bundled solutions. Only rarely when there is a step disruption like in AI do you have the opportunity for a startup to come and provide, that 5-10x value over the large incumbents.
When you guys made that shift to AI, one of the things that my audience knows that for the last 4 years, I've been a big advocate of any company that doesn't just do AI technology for the sake of making the investors happy, but does AI in a responsible way. What impact do you hope that Auradine and your teams have an opportunity to have broadly within the AI domain?
Yeah, I mean, I will expand it to AI and blockchain. So, as I mentioned, we have three companies. Auradine is focused on low power compute technologies. We have Upscale focused on networking technologies for the AI era, and then we have Aurascape focused on AI cybersecurity. In all of these areas, we value bringing power efficiency as much as we can, bringing security to the world as much as we can. And then AI today, for example, both AI and blockchain consume a lot of energy, right? And the idea is that in the case of Bitcoin, not only do we bring the power consumption down, but we also make it symbiotic so that it could be used for load balancing the grid through ability to tune the energy consumption. We also um, uh, believe that AI and Bitcoin could be symbiotic in that AI inference will not consume 100% of the energy all the time, but you have to pay for it. So there are peaks and valleys in that energy consumption that, of course, Bitcoin could fill and provide that load balancing capability to the grid. So trying to be as responsible and constructive on that side. In the AI area, we know that the biggest, maybe the only constraint in the long term is going to be energy. And um, data centers will be limited by how much energy is available. And so the idea is that within that energy constraint, can you do more compute? Right. And what that does is two things. Of course, it addresses a constraint situation, but also brings the cost per compute and the power per unit of compute a lot less. And so that makes it, available for a broader set of people to use it.
Another thing that you had mentioned early on in the conversation as a critical component to the success thus far of the company is great investors. Can you talk to us a little bit about the investment team that you have behind you and how you and your co-founder have gone about selecting the investors that you choose to partner with?
Yeah, I think that number one, some of it is self-selection because there are investors who invest in semiconductors and systems, and there are investors who simply don't. Okay, so number one, we focus on investors that appreciate what infrastructure is and the value that infrastructure can deliver to the world. So that's kind of like the biggest part of it. After that, what we have done is we have been fortunate. So if you look at our investors, we have across our companies, we have Mayfield, Celesta, we have companies like Maverick, Premji, Kota Capital, Menlo Ventures, some of the top VC firms in the world, as well as certain strategics, which include companies like Qualcomm, that are on our cap table. Stanford University is a small investor in our company. So, a very good quality of investors. I'm sure I'm missing some names. Um, but many of these people know us over long periods of time during our career. So, there's a level of trust that's built in on both sides. So that plays a important role in building that investor relationship. And and then of course the network goes from there. So focus areas, there's a mission alignment, as well as relationships built over time.
And speaking of relationships built over time, I mean, you guys have what I would say is a Mount Rushmore of leaders on your on your board of directors. I mean, you guys have the likes of Naveen Chadha, Lip Bhutan, and Fred Thiel. How have those men had an impact not only on the company but you professionally and personally?
Yeah, I mean, Libu was chairman of my previous company, Innovium, and he was the early lead investor, Series A investor in the company, first investor. And so I would say that I have grown personally as a leader, having him coach me during those 7, 8 years. And, um, so I would say that that's been a very tremendous benefit from that. Naveen is an amazing investor. He's been on the Midas list so many times. And the other thing is that he's one of the very few investors that knows infrastructure very well. And he's got an amazing portfolio in the infrastructure, AI infrastructure space, that we benefit from. So I would say that that has been extremely beneficial, and of course, extremely well respected among other investors and LPs and such. Um, Celesta, which used to be previously Warden Riverwood, was early investor in Innovium, and they were also the co-lead investor in our Auradine as well. And Fred is, many of us in the company did not come from a crypto or a Bitcoin background. We are really semiconductor networking security people or systems. And Fred and the Mara team have been instrumental in helping us learn about this industry, and collaborate on products and give ideas on what could be new, exciting innovations that could help the Bitcoin ecosystem. So different people have added, amazing different types of value.
Let's talk a moment just about if you were to look back over the last 6, 7 years where Lippu has been able to mentor you as a leader. If there was one leadership lesson that you learned along the way that you would pass along to every leader that fell underneath your leadership, what would that be?
Yeah, I mean, in my previous company, I was a first time CEO. And being a first time CEO in a startup, and we got sued within a few days of starting the company, you can imagine is a very uncomfortable position to be in. And along that journey, there were lots of very difficult decisions to make. There's the easy decisions are anyone can make them. It's the tough decisions where you don't know what is the right answer are the ones that cause you some level of anxiety. And I encountered a specific situation where I had three different options, uh, and I had to make a decision. And I actually felt uncomfortable making that decision. So I set up some one-on-one time with Libu. Okay, so it's an interesting thing. I went to his office and I told him, "Hey, I'm at this juncture. There are these three options, A, B, C. We can do. Help me decide." Okay. And so the amazing thing he did was he said, "Okay, let's talk about A. What do you think are the benefits or the risks of A?" And similarly for B and C. And then at the end, he goes and says, "What would you pick?" So instead of giving me the answer, he said, "What would you pick?" And I said, I would pick A." And he said, "Do that and we'll support you." So having that ability to trust somebody making sure that they've thought through the decision, but then have them decide and have ownership in making that decision successful was something that, I was quite amazed at that experience I went through.
As we start drawing to a close, last couple of questions for you. I know you don't. You and the team there are not as future focused from a, what do we want to come, or what do we want to look back on 20 years from now? But at some point, you will look back, and if you were to look back 5 years from now, 10 years from now, what impact or what would you like the legacy of the company to be?
Yeah, I mean, our legacy is what we are working on every single day, right? Which is our legacy is that we made a massive impact in security, sustainability, and scalability of the infrastructure. That we allowed this technology to be democratized, made available to as many people in the world, and we fuel the pace of innovation. I think that's what we do every day, and that's what we want to keep doing well into the future.
I love it. Now, if you were talking to an engineer who didn't need a job, or even a potential investor, what would you tell them to get them excited about the future direction of the company?
Yeah, I mean, the future direction of the company. Uh, the thing that I tell people in the company is that many people in our company, frankly, don't need to work. They're not saving for their retirement. Many people could retire if they chose to, right? And so my the thing that I tell people is, if you want to have fun along the way, join us. And our as we keep doing very interesting and innovative things, we could build an iconic legacy company in Silicon Valley. But let's not stress ourselves about that. Enjoy the journey, enjoy the process, and great things will happen.
Well, there are so many nuggets that you shared in our short time here, and I certainly appreciate it. Our audience will as well. If somebody wants to get a hold of you, how would you ask them to do that?
I mean, LinkedIn is a good way to reach out to me. You can send me an email, rajiv@auradine.com. So those are two good ways to reach out to me.
Excellent. Well, I'm going to say until we talk again, because I would hope that in 6 months we have a chance to do an update, because I'm sure that there's going to be quite a few exciting announcements about the advancements that you're making. But until then, I want to thank you very much for the time that you've spent today sharing your insights.
Thank you so much, Justin.